Morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, Polling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G. We back after a week break. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest, but before I get there, follow, like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, or just on Spotify, however whatever tickles your pickle, floats your boat. Follow us on all social media platforms, to include TikTok. That's an onion to peel for sure. We got a special guest by the name of Chief Warrant Officer 5, Jason, not today, BCP Pierce.
What's going on?
There he is. Jason Pierce, Chief Warrant Officer 5, sir. Formalities, good evening. How are you today?
Good evening. Hey, I really appreciate you having me on here. I'm excited to run through this.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know DC and politics can be very, very time consuming. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll get started. This is a Chief Warrant for 5 in the Marine Corps. I just want everybody to know. If you don't know, now you know, but you will know after this little snippet. They're unicorns for a reason. You don't see them too many, and if you do, they don't know you and they don't care about you. You know what I mean? They're doing bigger, greater things away from the flagpole for our MOSs, and we appreciate your service to our country. So thank you for that. And not everybody gets that coveted little blood stripe. So sexy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's pretty nice. Jason, just real quick, we're going to knock out a couple questions right off the bat. Where are you from? Are you married with kids?
Okay, so originally I'm born in the Philippines, and I came to the United States around when I was 12. Grew up all over New York, and I ended up graduating high school in Rochester area, and then I joined out of Buffalo, New York, so upstate New York. Currently, I have never been married, and I have no kids, no plants, and no animals.
Oh, so for you listeners out there that are ladies, he is the Bachelor, the Golden Bachelor that's currently on the show on TV right now, the Golden Bachelor.
Oh, is it? Okay.
He's like 50 years old. I'm not saying you're 50, but he's 50 plus, and he's definitely trying to find love. So, ladies and gentlemen, the real Golden Bachelor,
right.
Jason Pierce.
Like it.
So my next question for you, sir. How long have you served? Because obviously 215 is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And in what capacity?
So actually, next month I will have been in for 27 years. My military anniversary is coming up. If you follow me on socials, a funny thing is I just posted a guy that I had went to boot camp with, and I think he and I are still in. He is now an Osprey pilot, and I'm doing what I do. But so yeah, 27 years I've been in.
Man, thank you for your service. I strive to be in the shoes that you're wearing, those shoes that you're wearing right now, to be honest. I talked to my wife a couple of weeks back. I was like, you know what? We're going to do it. Put in that WOA package in January. Hopefully I get selected.
Yeah, for sure.
And, excuse me, do or die, ride or die till 30. See if the Marine Corps let me in that long,
Yeah, I tell you, it hasn't been always easy. It's a long haul, and I think to your second question, I started out as a 3043 supply chain management clerk, rose through the ranks. I was a staff sergeant when I put my package in, picked up warrant officer, and then kind of rode through the ranks to where I'm at now. So it's been a long ride, but I wouldn't.
Wow, you mind if I ask you your age? 45. You are the real Golden Bachelor. You know what I'm saying? Marine Corps Gold. That's what I'm gonna name this session. The real Golden Bachelor, Jason Pierce. So 27 years. Yeah, 27 years, sir. You've obviously been a lot of places. If you can remember all, however many that was, where you been at? So, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Pierce, not today BCP, as you see in the shirt. It's a pretty good brand, pretty good idea. It's just a concept, I think. You got to do something every day. You got to do something. You got to take a 30-inch step. That weight, health is important. I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. I did. I ate a lot of turkey, a lot of mashed potatoes, green, green bean casserole. There he is.
Okay.
Um,
You
you
back
good?
up? You good? Yep, I'm good. I hear you.
It's good.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Don't worry about it. I'll chop it up. It's easy. It's easy. Uh,
Okay.
so you were saying duty stations. You're in DC now. So what's your favorite one?
So honestly, too, I would say my time in Miramar, California, when I was a sergeant, was a real good time, and when I was stationed at Marfa Res in New Orleans, was a
Hmm.
good one.
I know that Sergeant Major Moda's out there in New Orleans now, huh? I don't know if you know the name,
I
but he's
I
out there
don't
in
know the
Res.
name, so that's where Sergeant Major Ruiz
I
just
just
came
seen.
from.
Yeah, I know. That's why I say it's interesting. Interesting, really. So we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Back to back, that'd be
Yeah,
wild. But
yeah,
my my assumption is that he's gonna get a nice little look to see if he's gonna be it or not. That's my. I'm not saying I
yeah.
know anything, but I would.
Okay, okay.
I'm venturing to say that'd be dope. But anyways, so you're at DC now. Can you tell us what you do out there? It's just I know there's a lot of politics. I know there's a lot of freaking left and right lateral limits when it comes to Marine Corps orders and policies. And just fill us in on what we're missing out there.
Okay, so I'm actually do supply chain management. I'm at the policy level now. Um, so I do supply chain management policy, and work on volumes and guidance and really anything that encompasses the supply community, looking over the 3010s, the 3002s, the 3043s, and the 3051 community. So all ground supply, um, and making sure that there's policy come from. I'm in DC and INL, so installation and logistics, um,
Hmm,
part of the Marine Corps. So that's kind of where I serve in my capacity.
interesting. Um, do you play a heavy hand? You obviously play a heavy hand in policy, yes?
Yeah, so I am the senior supply chain management officer. There's only two chief warrant officer fives in my MOS. The senior guys, one's up here, and the other one is, yeah, the other one's in logistics command in Albany, Georgia.
Wow, dude! If I had like the horn, oh, sound bit, I'd be playing it right now. Wow, we're in the presence of greatness. Not today, BCP. Woo! Holy mackerel, ladies and gentlemen! If you don't know, now you know one of two. That's wild. Oh man, 27 years. Let me backtrack here. 27 years. So that obviously you love the Marine Corps. You're fully and thoroughly indoctrinated. Yes.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Um,
So there's no real regret, is there? Do you regret some decisions you made in the Marine Corps, or are you moving forward with every decision you made?
yeah, I think it hasn't always been easy, right? 27 years. I've fallen on my face plenty of times. I've been in trouble. I'll tell you right now, old Chief Warrant Officer Pierce has an NJP under his belt. I will tell you, for those who are trying to become chief, you don't want to do that nowadays, or you, you'll never make it. But back when I grew up, they say real Marines got NJPs. Check,
Abre.
I'm there. Not saying don't follow that path, but um, I've fallen on my face quite a few times, gotten in trouble, but I think what keeps me going is the challenge to recover from that, knowing I can do better, and certainly learn from my mistakes. So um, there are times when I think in everybody's career where the Marine Corps isn't all that glamorous and glorious when you're out in the field or when you're on a hike or you're stuck on deployments. It's not always enjoyable, but uh, it goes for the good cause and it depends on your goals in life, right? It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, it's worked out. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know I used the word regrets. Regrets
Yeah,
it's a big word. It's not that good of a word. It's what I
yeah.
have right now in my vocabulary. But
Okay.
are there some decisions you wish you made previous to recruiting, or people want to like, hey, I should have done this, and now I'm here. I like what I'm doing, but I wish I put it in the package here and there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, sir?
So I will tell you, I don't. So I put the package in at the right time when I was a staff sergeant. I was fully expecting to not get selected. back in the day, you put it in 2 or 3 times, and maybe you got done on your third time. I was wholeheartedly expecting to get denied, and then hey, I'll get ready for the gutty board that was coming up next, and so on and so forth. Um, so that came at the right time. I think if there's anything I regret that I should have done more was I tell myself maybe I should have gone to school a little earlier. But I have to be honest with you that to each his own, right? So as an NCO, junior staff NCO, I personally wasn't ready to go to school. You know what I mean? I was having a
Mm-hmm.
blast. I was having a good time. For me to go sit in a classroom, of course, school wasn't as accessible as it is now. Online programs
Yeah.
are dime a dozen now. They make it very accessible for military. Back then, you had to take your butt to the building, and then you had to sit in a classroom, and that's the way you got classes done. And for me, I just didn't want that to be part of my schedule at that time of my life. Um, but if I look back on it, if I could have got 1 or 2 things maybe done earlier, that would have been nice. But um, I crossed over at a good time when I was a staff sergeant. Um, so I really have no regrets at the timing of everything. So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, one of two. Obviously, that worked. That's in my vantage point. Obviously, that worked out. So every decision is time based, and it obviously worked out. So again, thank you for your service. Hey, somebody's
Hey,
got to do it. Somebody's got to get paid eventually, right? So you're in the
hey,
shoes right now. So that's it. That's pretty much it for you then, huh? You can't go any higher in echelon in service, yeah.
sure, right, right. So I am at the senior billet. So I'm at the only place I can go. This is where I retire, and yeah, as you know, there's only three top ranks: E9, CWO5, and a four-star general. So,
You're not gloating or anything. You're definitely humble. I'm telling you right now. Oh shoot, that's crazy though. Um, so has in the 27 years of service, Jason, has the
mhm.
Marine Corps better prepared you as an individual moving forward in your business endeavors?
I think so. So, there's always the intangible traits people talk about, like the discipline, the pride. Uh, I contribute a lot to supply chain management in the MOS that I'm at. If you listen to corporate America, supply chain management is like the buzzword now. We've had the pandemics,
Mm.
we've had boats get caught in canals, and what does that interrupt? That interrupts the supply chain. Why don't we have uniforms right now? The supply chain. Everything's going back to supply chain. So I've been doing that for the last 27 years. So if anything has prepared me, has been the opportunities to do inventory management, to do fiscal responsibilities, to manage Marines, manage troops, manage my own account, um, to do transportation, to work as a director. So every part of the supply chain, I've had the opportunity to learn, and I think that's going to help me or has helped me getting into business or after I retire.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a freaking jack of all trades. And you might as just will like ominous dominus master in business administration and logistics.
Yes.
Jesus,
Yeah.
goodness gracious, that's awesome. So, uh, do you have current business endeavors that you're following right now as you
Y-
see the light at the
Yeah.
end of the tunnel?
So, in the past, a lot of people don't know I messed around with branding. I used to have a brand called Strictly Motivated. Kind of played around with that. Me and my buddy, we tried to start our own supplement company called Solar Optimum Nutrition. Kind of died out. I mean, you've got to put a lot of time and effort in there. We learned a lot. Um, but for now, I do like managing growing brands and um, lifestyle movements like Not Today BCP. Uh, it's more of keeping people motivated than it is business right now. I travel, I do speaking engagements. I also do high performance coaching on the side, do personal brand consulting, and then if I have time between everything, I do I do consulting projects for companies. So I take on projects, do them whatever hours they amount, and then I just bill them for whatever service that they want me to provide for them.
Wow. And you're doing your master's or your doctorate? What is it? I forgot. Which one is it?
My doctorate.
Jesus. I lost track after doctorate. Goodness gracious, Jason. My goodness. I barely have enough time for myself and breathing. Goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen. This is the unicorn Jason Pierce. Wow, coming in, hailing in from DC. If you're just tuning in, uh, well, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, son of Bethlehem. That's crazy. That's a lot of things. How do you manage all that? Especially, because as an individual, as a man, seriously, as an
Sure.
individual, how do you manage all that?
Uh, so, I get this question all the time. And I will tell you, it's because I just limit my distractions. Now, I think everybody is busy, right? To include yourself. And I can see you brought your child on the podcast. And it doesn't mean I'm any more busy than anybody else. It's just, so remember how we started this out. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't have a
Yeah,
dog or animals. Some people that keeps them very busy and that's important to them. I, I just have a lot of free time or a lot of time to focus on business, going to the gym, doing nothing ABCP, working on school. You know what I'm saying? So I actually had this conversation with a colonel friend of mine. She has two kids, and I was like, "You're just as busy, but you're raising a family. You know what I mean? And you're taking care of the kids, and you're
yeah,
bringing them to school, and you're raising them, and you're making sure that they have all their needs." I've just redirected what other people probably do into something else. That's all. And so I kind
yeah,
of manage my time by that. And because I'm in control of my own schedule, my plate can be as busy as I want it to be, or I can pull something off of it if I need to slow down.
yeah. That's crazy. And so I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just turning in, Jason Pierce, now today BCP 2 1 for 5, the unicorn, one of two. I just gotta say, I'm in the presence of greatness right now. So, uh, it took us almost 2 months, maybe 3 months, just to get this gentleman on the podcast. It's wild. That's how busy he is. Um, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I was pretty persistent too. I was like, nah, let me give him a break. He's probably super busy. And sure enough, you are. Holy mackerel. Thank you again. I'm humbled and I'm blessed to have you on.
No,
You
I
do a lot, I'm
appreciate it.
sure. And yeah, no, for sure. Thank you. Um, so quick question for, I know social media is a big thing right now, and I think
Hmm.
everybody's wondering. I think everything's already kind of flowing over in terms of water coming over the bridge, kind of thing. Um, but social media is an important part of life currently, not even the Marine Corps, but just part of life in general for everybody. And whether or not we like it or not, should we recommend it to everybody that comes in, and should we be using it more often than we are now? I know that the Marine Corps, comment on the Marine Corps and Sergeant Major are now posting videos on a weekly basis, which is awesome. Um, so that's pretty cool. But so are we heading in the right direction in terms of using social media?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And it's funny you brought that up because I have seen, General Smith, Sergeant Major Marine Corps Ruiz, start doing videos. And if you noticed, he put out a video on Instagram before he did anywhere else because I mean it hits more of a population. Um, I do think it's beneficial. I think it's necessary. I think it can reach a wide range of Marines and people of different demographics. But it's really how you use it and what you do with that platform. For instance, you're doing these awesome podcasts that spread word, spreads advice, shares people's experiences. I think that is used in a really productive and beneficial way. So yes, are there people who ruin it? Of course, you know what I mean. There's what we call the 5%, as you know. Um,
Yeah,
but as a whole, absolutely, social media is beneficial. It's kind of how we communicate in 2023.
yeah, that's crazy. Do you? What's some advice? I know that you have your branding, you do all this, extracurricular activities on the side. Something that I probably wouldn't take up maybe like later down the road. But
Right.
what's some of the advice that you can give us? Like you got experience maybe in branding and social media marketing. Give us some advice so that we can you know be more like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think personal branding in itself. So I've created a model. It's called the Ready Bench. And I think when you're on the Ready Bench and you're in the Marine Corps, you need to develop yourself experience wise, of course, with the jobs that you do, with education. And then really the next step up is where marketing branding come into play. And I call it the four N's. And that's networking. Um, all right. It's networking.
Oh man.
It's being noticed. It's
Yeah.
notoriety and need. And so I'll explain that to you. So being noticed or networking is just getting out there, building your network, getting to know people, whether it's on LinkedIn, or it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's, in the barracks. Um, Notoriety, you got to be known for something, right? Some people are known for funny. You're known for podcasts. I don't know much, about you further than that. Being a family man. So what are you known for? Um, and then noticed. You have to get noticed. Somebody has to notice you for what you're famous for, and you do a really good job of being noticed. And the last thing is the need. Like, why do people need you, right? Why do they
Mm.
need this podcast? Why do they need Not Today BCP? Because it motivates them. It helps them rise above the standard. So with those four ends, you place yourself from the ready bench, and networking, notoriety, creating a need, and being noticed will open up the last two. I call it the O and A. Gives you opportunity and gives you access. Now, if your ready
Mm.
bench at the bottom is good and you are ready for every opportunity, once you've done your branding and your networking and your Instagram and your Facebook and LinkedIn, when the opportunities and access come to you, you're ready. So what happens a lot of time, though, problem is people get the opportunities, but they're not ready, right? They're like, hey, we'd like to give you the opportunities, Garcia. We were like, but you're like, but I'm not ready. Well, then, you've done all the networking. You're known for your podcast. People notice you, and now they need you, but you weren't ready for the opportunity. You've gained access into certain rooms. So, uh, so that's how I approach personal branding, and through the model that I've built so far.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get that, just just listen to on Spotify. That's wow, that's great news. So you're saying I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. All right. So are you saying you're applying for the job as my marketing team or what? That's
Yeah,
wild. I'll,
absolutely.
I'll hire you. I probably can't afford you though, to be honest. Oh, that's wow. That's good. That's good gouge, sir. Absolutely. I'm gonna rerun that every single time for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
The ready bench. Interesting. I like how you sports. Are you ready to come off
Are
the
you
bench?
ready?
Hell yeah, I'm ready to come off the bench. Call me in, coach. I'm ready.
That's what I'm
Oh,
talking
shoot, but if
about.
you're not, yeah, hell yeah, that's what's up. That's good advice in terms of social media influences for active duty Marines. I like that. What do you have to, if you can name one thing, there's obviously the leadership traits, the 14 leadership principles,
Okay.
or excuse me, 11 leadership principles, 14 leadership traits. If you can name one thing, what is that one thing that's made you so successful?
I think it's the
Ooh.
grit. It's the ability to
Grit, that's not
keep
even in
going.
there, sir. You can't use that.
Okay, do I have to use like a term? Like, but I would, I mean,
Grit, grit.
yeah,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
like, I,
Elaborate.
I like grit. I'm going to stay away from the JJ did tie buckles and and it, because I think it's the ability to keep going regardless of what people say, regardless of people's
Mm-hmm.
opinion, and regardless of how many times you fail, because you're gonna fail, right? It's the Marine Corps, and there's also going to be just bad days. There's going to be more bad days than there are good days. And how do you push through, right? How do you stay in long enough? When you raise your right hand and do another four, it's not always going to go right. And if it does go right for you, great. You're a lucky person that gets 4 years of of rainbows and Skittles, and all the nice things. Um, but I think it's the grit, it's the determination to keep focused on your goals, that gets you through the bad times. That really, for me, um, has kept me going for 27 years.
Yeah, that's crazy because yeah, you're right. I mean, I've only been in the short 13 years compared to you, and not every duty station is fun. I will tell you that. I don't even think. I mean, they're all fun per se. I guess they have
Yeah.
their pros and cons each one of them, but I don't think you roll into one and loving it right away. It
Oh yeah,
takes time.
for sure.
So yeah, I agree with you there. It's just you just got to roll with the punches, ladies and gentlemen. Just roll with the punches. Like you get hit, that's the duty station. That's the flavor of the day. But that's just the day. You know what I mean?
So you brought up earlier, and maybe this is a good time to approach it. You brought up earlier, what's a bad duty station? And, you know, it, so I've been stationed in Albany, Georgia. Not a lot of
Mhm.
people have been in Albany, Georgia, where the logistics command is. It's in the middle of nowhere. I will tell you, it's not my favorite base, but it was a great base. Um, what I've managed to do at every base was for 3 years, I said to myself, I'm not going to leave this base without completing something other than just a
Mm.
good tour, right? So, I did time in Lejeune around 13. I completed an associate's degree there, got promoted. Went to the next duty station, which is New Orleans, finished my bachelor's degree there, got selected for 4, got promoted. Went to Albany, finished my MBA there, got promoted. So there were things in those 3 years that, like, I said, hey, I need to walk away from this duty station having completed something other than just the
Yeah.
Marine Corps. Um, now, whether that's your family or whether you have other aspirations or goals, or building a business or growing your podcast. Um, so no matter what duty station I'm at, I have those things that I'm trying to complete. So Albany, there was nothing to do but just go to school and to get things done and prioritize, because there just wasn't much to do. Um, so I've heard a lot of people get things done at 29 Palms. I personally have never been stationed there. I've been there, and I was like, man, this would be a great duty station to get a lot of things done, right?
Yeah.
There ain't nothing to do. And what people do is usually Marines waste their time. They party. I get it, hang out. Okay, well, grow your families. That's your thing. You know what I mean? Like, spend more time with your family. Take them out and do things. But that's a good chunk of time and space to get a lot of things done.
Mm.
Um, so when you say a bad duty station, I think the only thing that makes a bad duty station is if you wasted your time and you didn't do anything.
Dang, that's actually
That's
pretty good. That's a good idea. Because ever since San Diego, I was like, you know what, let's make something happen. But
Yep.
I didn't even get into education until I got to the San Diego. And you already know, as a drill instructor, it's kind of like, where are you gonna find the time at? But actually, there's a lot of time at night to finish up your college and your education, and that's where I got it. And then I was fortunate enough to get my associate's degree in
Nice.
Hawaii, right? So I transferred all my due to the JST. I did actually. You know what? That's a good idea. Enough about me. This is your show, but
That's
that's a
awesome.
good idea. Every duty station, I have to do something,
Yes.
and not just Marine Corps. You know what I mean? That's a good outcome. That's a good idea. Ladies and gentlemen, are you the ready bench right now? Are you listening? This is good gouge. Sir, that was awesome. So thank you. I'm using that because I'm trying to be in 30 years. I'm thoroughly indoctrinated, so I'm trying to be in your shoes. Um,
Sure.
what are on the same note? What are some of the challenges you face at headquarters of Marine Corps being a Chief Warrant Officer 5, if any?
Uh, it's really schedules, and it's building time. It's balancing that time management. So I get called away to travel a lot, whether it's Marine Corps or personal, and being in a lot of meetings. So headquarters Marine Corps, there's a lot of meetings you have to sit in. So, on top of that, you still have to get your work done and manage policies. And we have a big symposium coming up, supply symposium down in Albany, putting together. Um, but I think for the most important for me is taking care of my 3010 Chief Warrant Officer community. So I'm also the Ockfield sponsor for the 3010, and I kind of oversee the 43s, the 51s, and the 3002s. Um, but yeah, so there's only 42 of us, 3010s, and really I'm trying to make sure that they have all the opportunities and make sure all the twos are where they're supposed to be, the threes, the fours, everybody's kind of progressing in their careers. We're in the right billets. We're part of force design where we need to be. Because in the end, as a senior 5, it's now my responsibility to make sure the community as a whole can function and they have what they need to do their job.
Wow. Have you had those hard conversations with people?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I have the Master Guns 43 and 51 in my office, so trying to shape that, talk to people about, their careers. But I'm very open-minded, right? So everybody's not in my situation. Everybody has things that are important to them, and the institution is great. So not only do you have to balance what's good for the institution, but what's good for my chief warrant officer, right? And those two things may not always line up. What's good for Garcia may not be good for what the Marine Corps wants you to do next, but you have a
Yeah.
family, and you want to stabilize them, and they have their needs, and wife has her needs, you have your needs. So I have to really be aware of that and cognizant of what makes you tick, and then put you in the best place. So try to do talent management as best as I can put you in a place where you're going to be successful. Because we live in a day and age that nobody wants to go somewhere where they're not felt useful or they can make a big
Mm,
impact or you'll get out. You know what I mean?
mm,
Retention is a big thing. So those are kind of the hard conversations about people's career that I talk about a lot. And I always give my chief warrant officers three choices. Um, Tell me your location. What's important to you? Is it location, your career, or your family? Because it's hard to get all three of those. And you
yeah.
gotta think about those three when you PCS. Is it location that's important to you? Is it your family? Or is it your career? It'd be nice if you can get all three of those, but let's be honest. You can't always get location, career, and family. Like you can go to a great job at the drill field, family's going to kind of suffer for that one, right? Um,
Mm,
you know, and so that's the way some people want to go. Hey, this is great for my family in the state of California. It's going to kind of hurt your career. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
location. So those three things I think are real important to take in consideration.
Interesting. So you had to have those hard conversations. And I have to ask because I've heard it before, and I've only been
Hmm.
in Photo 13. Have you used the sentence or the token words needs of the Marine
Of
Corps?
the
Have you used
Marine
it before?
Corps. So for me personally, no.
Okay.
I think there are duty stations where um, I think chief warrant officers would be good for. But like, so here's my honest opinion. Even if I think you would be great at back at the depot, right, or at Paris Island or San Diego, that might not be good for you. And if you get there and you're in a bad mood and you don't want to stay and you don't give it all, I mean, what good did that do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a balance. Like you can only force somebody to go in a duty station. Now I will tell you because Indo-PACOM is so is at the tip of the spear right now. I mean, the commandant came on the video and said if you don't go to Okinawa, Hawaii in that area, it's going to hurt your career. I say, well, the Marine Corps needs you to go to Okinawa. You haven't been to overseas. Your overseas control date sucks. You need to go. If you don't go, and I get overruled by the monitor saying that you have to go, that's one of the needs of the Marine Corps. Um, you're putting yourself and me into a bind where then it's either get out or you have to go to Okinawa. Like I can only do so much, and if somebody above me rules and says no, Garcia's got to go to Okinawa, I'm going to be like, big dog. That is the needs of the Marine Corps.
Ooh, I didn't do it. It was
Yeah,
him. Oh, nice.
yeah.
Okay. So
So
indirectly, Jason, you say it indirectly. It's
yeah,
not you directly saying it. Well, I mean, it is what it is, to be honest.
right.
I think if you stay long enough in this gun club in this organization, uh, you're gonna cross paths and you're gonna disagree eventually, right? Not everything is gonna flow like you say. That's absolutely right. Um, so how many Marines are under your charge right now?
So I don't have any. So yeah. So I work at a very senior. I have a master guns. There's a master. I work with. I don't really have a master. You don't really have a master guns. They just do what they want. But I
Yeah.
work with master guns. I work with majors. So yeah, the lowest rank in my office is a master guns.
Ah,
Um,
interesting. So, do you think being so far removed from troops is a good thing or a bad thing? And does it affect certain judgment calls?
so I think when you say being far removed, I think from the truth, I think that's a decision, and that's
Mm-hmm.
and for me though, I'm in a little bit different situation. One, I'm very active on social media, right? So that helps me stay
Right.
connected to a lot of Marines, regardless of rank. So I can kind of stay as connected as possible as there. Um, I think showing up matters, right? So every opportunity I can, I try to show up for Marines and be there for their promotions and, their retirements and their events and the parades and the things, or when I'm at a duty station, try to go have a lunch with them and just be out there. But that's a choice I'm making so that I can stay connected and at least get an idea of kind of some of the struggles they're going through. And, you
Mm-hmm.
know, now I'm not down there every day, so I can't understand day to day things. But then I think at the same time, um, I also need to recognize like that's not my place to be amongst the troops all the time, being of the rank that I am, because I have
Uh-huh.
staff NCOs, and there are other chief
Mm-hmm,
warrant
mm-hmm.
officers. So as much as I try to stay connected, it's just like, why is the five here? You know what I mean? And I recognize that. You know,
Yeah, that's a,
it's the same thing I
yeah.
say is like, why is the general in my office? Like, you don't need to be here, sir. We've got it. Like, I'll take care of it. But he just wants to try to stay connected too, right? Like, generals,
Ah,
I work for a 1-star right now, and he's trying to stay relevant to his troops, and he likes walking around. But at the same time, you're like, sir, you, you need to stay in your office so we can do our job. Same as my position. So I think it's good and bad, but it's necessary to be removed to let the troops, staff NCOs, senior staff NCOs, and officers do their job. But certainly, I don't want to be naive, and I don't want to be completely lost, out of touch with
yeah,
what's current, what's relevant, what makes you tick, what makes you work hard, and certainly where you need to be rewarded and where you need to be promoted.
absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. I didn't know if you were ready for that or not. I'm gonna throw some, some little poke some feelers out, see if you're ready, sir.
Yeah.
And no, no, nothing to, nothing that you can't PC it all together, anyways. But um, so actually that rolls right into. So you're not far removed. I think you're pretty present. I think you're pretty active on social media. I think people know who Jason Pierce is. Well, at least one of two, anyways. Are you guys interchangeable? So if you decide to like, hey, this is not it, and you're not at 30, do you just go back and forth?
No, so if I decide to retire,
Yeah.
yeah, so if I decide to
Can you?
retire, then the junior guy would move up to where I'm at, and then we promote another 4 up to 5.
Ah, so that is it then, huh? There's nothing else you
Oh
can
yeah, yeah.
do. You
There's no more
you've
duty
done it
station.
all.
There's no more
That's
rank. I'm at the end of the road, as boys to men would say.
that's a good one. Oh shoot, that is wild. You have done it all. Have you done it all?
I have done a lot. Like I said, I've been to almost every duty station. I have visited every duty station. So whether I've
Oh,
just been there on a trip, so that was a good thing. And I have been in division, the wing, the MLG, the MiG, the base. Um, so any major sport command I've been able to do. So, and then I was a private PFC, NCO, staff NCO, and Chief Warrant Officer, and made it to headquarters
nice.
Marine Corps. So now that I'm in the Pentagon, I would never want to go anywhere else because everybody asked me like, "Would you go?" I was like, Where would I go? Like, I'm in the Pentagon. There's no higher building than the Pentagon. Maybe the White House, but other than that, like, this is it. Like, I made it to the
Yeah, that's
building that I
crazy.
wanted to make it in, um, and work on policy and try to make the most impact I can on the Marine Corps.
That's wild. Well, Jesus, that's crazy. I didn't think that you could do it all, but I'm in the presence of greatness. I need to get that soundbite. Oh, you know what I'm saying? That's wild.
What,
Um, can you? That's even better. That's even better one. Can you walk us through the warrant officer package and do you obviously there's do you obviously have some buy-in because you're warrant officer 5, so do you recommend it for Marines?
So here's what I will say, and of course I get to ask around this a lot. As a matter of fact, there was a staff sergeant hit me up today asking me about it. So the message comes out soon, um, probably this month, very 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 soon. They're due in February, and it's about the same time every year. Um, if you meet the basic qualifications, and it's outlined in the MAR admin, sometimes they change that around, but just read through the MAR admin. If you meet the basic qualifications, like you have the EL score is the big thing that keeps people from doing it. And medical, sometimes tattoos, depending how crazy they are, might keep you out. For the most part, it's semi lenient. I think a lot of things are grandfathered in. Um, really submit your package, and depending on what MOS that you go into, try to get a letter of recommendation from those chief warrant officers of the MOS that you're applying to.
Hmm.
Very rarely do MOSs let you cross over. So I think like utilities bulk fuel. I think there's a couple other MOSs and NBC, like CBRN, will let you be from another MOS and cross into it. So, for example, mine, I'm
Mm.
supply chain management. We don't take any crossovers. You have to be a 43 or 51, 30, 40, 30, 43, 30, 51 to become a 3010. I know engineers, you have to come from a certain MA. Certainly aviation, you can only be in that aviation MOS to cross the aviation.
Yeah.
Administration, IPAC. So um, I had a Marine ask me, well, I'm just going to apply for anything. You can put open on your package and just put open and don't pick an MOS and let the Marine Corps pick it for you. If they think
Dude,
you're
that'd be
basically
wild.
qualified and they think that you can be lead and you can be an officer because that's what comes first, um, they will pick your MOS. So that's how some of my friends got into CBRN, got into some of those MOSs that they've never done before. They wanted to be a chief warrant officer, so the Marine Corps kind of picked their job for them. And then once the package goes in, the board votes, and it usually comes out November, December timeframe, and then you head to TBS. So I absolutely do recommend it. I will tell you, and then we'll get into kind of my story, my decision. But yes, absolutely.
Sweet. So is it an extensive package, and where can they find that?
Go to the MAR admin. Usually comes out to application for the warrant officer program. Comes out every year. It's been a while since I've had to do it, but usually February, look it up online, go on usmc.mil, look up MAR admins and look up the warrant officer selected package, and just kind of go through the process. I would say it is November now. You need to have like your package put together because it is extensive. There's like a medical process that you have to do. Um, you know, from what I've learned, like with any package that you submit, just do the paperwork. Make sure your administration right. If it tells you to list 10 things, then list those 10 things. If it
Yeah.
tells you you have to have these basic qualifications, have the basic qualifications. Like, we make it really easy in the military. We give you a set of instructions and say, hey, these are the exact forms that you need. Fill these forms out. Oftentimes I see Marines are like, I don't want to do that form. Like, it literally told you they want this form, this set package. And then I would say hit up all warrant officers from last year's class that just graduated. Like, they just did a package, and if they successfully got selected, it's probably the package I would copy. Because that's what I did back
No.
in 2009. I was like, can I see your package? Let me just replicate whatever you did. And it's really the same. You got to, annotate tattoos. Medical's medical. And I think you like write a letter, and then you have to get a couple letter of recommendations. And then that's put together. Put the package together, date it right, make sure your name and correspondence is correct, submit it up, and there you go.
Interesting. Interesting. So you think the letters of recommendation help, or does it really matter?
So I will tell you, the only letter of recommendations that will matter are from chief warrant officers within the MOS that you want to apply. Okay, so there may be some of the colonel, some of the general letter recommendations may be okay, because you want to speak to the reference of can you be an officer and do you know how to lead, right? Do you have what it takes to be a United States Marine Corps officer? Where the chief warrant officer of the MOS is basically, I would say, hey, Garcia, I think you have what it takes to be in my MOS. And when the board reads my letter, like, are you gonna argue with me? Are you are you really gonna tell me who I
Yeah.
think can be in my MOS, right? Like none of these,
Right.
because there's no chief warrant officers on that board. It's like majors and
Yeah.
lieutenant colonels. Yeah. So they're gonna be like, well, this chief officer 5 in that MOS says he wants him. I'm probably going. I also go and I brief the board. I brief the enlisted warrant officer board, and I tell them these are the things that you're looking for as far as my MOS. So each MOS, we all go brief the board and we tell them these are the things that you need to look for when you select into my MOS. And they'll ask me. They'll say, "Will you take supply chain management? Will you take somebody with no degree? Will you take blah blah blah?" And I'll say yes, yes, no, no. Here's my criteria. Um, and then I brief the board before they make their selection.
Wow. That's crazy. It's eh, the boards. That's a different topic for another day because
Yeah,
man, we can go on a
yeah,
tangent into a rabbit hole about boards and recommendations after actions, Marines being salty, getting passed over. It's just a whole ordeal that I don't want to talk about because will hurt more feelings than anything, really. Um, so I see you have a shirt that I want to order. Uh, it's anti. So it says November Tango Bravo Charlie Papa rise above the standard. Can you explain that?
Okay, yeah. So, I started Not Today BCP in 2017. So it's been around for a minute. I love running. I love going to the gym. I love powerlifting. You follow me on socials. I like to do a little bit of everything. I'm not great at anything, but I love to do all things. Um, and I started it as a fun way to stay motivated. Um, just it's what I like to do for fun. I go for a run or I go to the gym, and I was like, not today, BCP. And people were like, well, why do you work out? And I was like, so I can stay off BCP. And people were like, well, you don't have that problem. And I was like, well, there's a reason why I don't have that problem because I go out and PT. And I was like, everybody has to fight BCP, whether you're in shape, whether you're not in shape, whether if you're on the border, as with the most fittest person in the world that we all see, the PT studs. They fight BCP just as much as you do because if they stop going to the gym and doing all the physical activities and eating right, then they'll be on BCP too. Um, BCP is the universal equalizer. It is the only thing that puts us all on the same page from a four-star general to the private. And I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
this. You can do a million great things in your Marine Corps career. You can only fail BCP once.
That is true. That is true.
So no matter
That's
what,
crazy.
we're the military, and Marine Corps, we have our height and weight standards, and we have what it is. Regardless of your opinion on how we do that, that's besides the point for another discussion. We have a standard, right? And in order to be and stay a United States Marine, you must meet this standard. It's our rule, right? We don't play around with the rule. Um, and so rise above the standard is just stay above the standard. Stay no, not today BCP. So I started it. People thought it was funny. It was great. And you know what? It's never going away. Not today
That's
BCP is
good.
literally never going away. It's going to be part of like everybody's life. Um, and we tend to like minimize it. We used to hide it, right? And we're like, let's not talk about BCP. It's one of those things where, just make sure you're where you're supposed to be. It wasn't a thing until it was a thing, until you needed to like. But I was like, if we just made better lifestyle choices, if I kept people motivated to go out and take walks or run, or maybe make better food choices, maybe not all the time, but just some of the time, change their lifestyles, then we could change and take this thing out of BCP and wear the shirt, not the day BCP. So now people, so if you haven't noticed, it's been six years since I've had it going. So I think we've gotten out over 5,000 shirts and products. Everybody has a shirt from General Neller to General Dunford has one. He did a not the day BCP video.
Oh.
The Army has adopted it. Sergeant Major Green did a video. It just, and I'm name dropping. However,
Oh,
you
you're
can
fine.
however, because it's important to the four-star general as it is to the private. It's
Yeah.
PCP. It will literally get you get kicked out.
Ah,
And
that's
I will
good.
tell you this because you were a drill instructor. I was a recruiter. Um, we all can't be perfect, but so 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 we had a
Yeah.
guy. A centurion is a big deal. A centurion means you're about to recruit. You recruited 100 people. We had a guy that was a centurion, which is like you walk on water, you can do no wrong. Dude was on BCP, couldn't get off BCP. He got kicked out. The lesson I learned at that time was like you can do 100 great things. If you don't stay on BCP, they're going to kick you out.
That is wild.
The dude recruited
But
100 people. Like that's like a superstar. That's rock star status. They write books about people like that, right?
yeah.
He couldn't get off BCP. They kicked him out. They're like, cool story. Bye. You could be drill instructor of the year. Drill instructor of the year. Win all the trophies in the platoons and get meritorious promoted. If you fail BCP once, you're gone, and nobody will care. Anyways, I'll let you chew on that for a while.
That is right. It's only name dropping if it's in a negative aspect. Like you're
Okay.
good. They're promoting not today BSP. You're fine. That's crazy. That's awesome that you got all these various of people and backgrounds, wearing the shirt and giving it like, hey, you're right. Because if I get on BCP, that's it.
Right. That's
Force
it.
force retire. Yeah, that is crazy.
So,
Um,
so to your
so
point, that's
it's
where it came
working.
from. Yeah. And
Uh,
the way it's defined, and I have to clarify that, it's right, it's to each his own, right? So not today BCP may be about powerlifting or going to the gym every day. Not today BCP to you might just be make a better choice or get up in the morning and go for a run. I've had, if you follow my Instagram, I have people who swim. I have people who lift weights. I have people who just go out and have fun and live the dream. I have people who eat a piece of cake because they believe not today BCP is all about work-life balance and balancing their life. But who am I to tell them different, right? If that's what not the day BCP and staying off BCP means to you, then that's what it means to you. So
yeah, that's great. Hey, can you tell the folks, the listeners, where can they purchase a shirt? Because I want one.
yes, so we usually release limited editions every year, 2 or 3 times a year. We're trying to establish the website and working with people to get a really quality shirt. And I didn't want it to be some cotton shirt that shrinks every time you do it. But if you follow my page, not the DBSP or the Jason Pierce, and keep up with me, we'll let people know when we're getting a new batch in and get them out. Um, Sooner or later, we'll get a website. But what I didn't want to do is build a website because it's not personal. So I've never had a website. I've talked to and I've spoken to every person that has got a shirt or a product from me personally. So if
Mm.
you wanted to get a shirt, you have to come to me and say, hey, how do you get a shirt? And if I have some, you'll be like, hey, we got some available. But I didn't want you to just like go to an app, pick a shirt,
Mhm.
put in your card, you order it. Like I've done that with companies and like who's the owner? Like I can buy a shirt anywhere. You know what I mean? So my my goal was to be able to talk to everybody that ever wanted to get involved with Not Today BCP.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
hit
Hey,
me
ladies
up.
and gentlemen, if
I
you're
think
tuning
that's
in,
the best way.
if you're tuning in, you're a little late, but we got the Jason Pierce show, the unicorn of the Marine Corps, for supply chain management. He is the one of two, and he's the most senior. So the guy listening to in Albany Jordan, I'm sorry, I had to get him first before I got you on. That's dope. Um, real quick, last thing, we got two more things real quick. So you talk about building a viable ecosystem. I know you know what I'm talking about. And why is it important in terms of branding, marketing, social media? Marine Corps, hoorah. What is it? Why is it so important?
So for me, building about viable ecosystems, it's about building groups of people and getting them connected, right? So not only it's great for the people around you, but it builds a better ecosystem so everyone can kind of benefit from each other, right? And so my goal was to build ecosystems with inside the fitness community, with inside the military, and I'm business oriented, so you know build ecosystems in the business area. I work here in DC, so it's built ecosystems inside of your DC network. So um, viable means it's got to do something. Don't just get people together for nothing. So if you follow me on that page, I try to bring groups of people from all different walks of life, not just one set of it's not just officers. Give shout outs to Lance Corporals and the PFCs and the staff NCOs and people who are doing podcasts. I think if you build ecosystems in different areas and different functions, a lot of people can benefit from that. Bas-
Mm,
Basically, it's a real network um, that can be used.
interesting, interesting. And lastly, Jason, again, thank you. I'm humbled in your presence. I appreciate you coming on. I can't say that too much because again, you are one of two. That's wild. Do you have a coin?
Not yet. So the other one, his
Oh,
name is actually
come on.
his name is actually Chief Warrant Officer Mike McMahon. He came out with his coin. I have just I haven't gotten around to be honest with you. a lot of hives get a coin made, and I want an original one, and I haven't been able to be like, I want one that looks like nobody else's, and it's like special. So 2024, stand by. I will finally come out with my coin and be able to give those out. You heard it here first.
Hell yeah. Hey, just know that I'm on top of the list there, Jason. Don't play around. Uh, One last thing, I appreciate it, sir. Again, thank you very much for coming on. But yeah, the floor is yours here. One last thing, one last hoorah, for the Marine service members that are listening to.
Yeah, no, hey, first of all, thank you for doing things like this. I think in the positive light of doing podcasts and a lot of people that I've seen interview, get people's story out there. I appreciate you taking the time to interview people and shed light. A lot of people don't get this experience. Um, I think that's important. So if anything that I want to share is every time you look at advice or you get advice from somebody, all right, it doesn't mean that'll necessarily work for you, but take bits and pieces out of that, right? Um, that you think will work for your situation. Okay. And I tell everybody that don't try to do everything exactly like I've done it because I'm in a different situation in life. I have different circumstances and it just happened to work out for me because it works out for me. But if there's something that you can take from my story or from my experience and that it fits you, certainly do that, on your way to success.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, excuse me, I got a little reflex. If you're just tuning in, what works for Jason is not gonna work for you. I'm telling you right now. Woo wee! But again, the awesome advice. Thank you for coming on. I know I took a little bit of your time. Obviously, you take work home, as you can see in the video or right in the background. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. But again, thank you for your time. And lastly, where can they reach you at if they didn't catch it already?
Yeah, so on Facebook and on Instagram mostly, I'm on the Jason Pierce and on Not Today BCP. On both those are my Instagram. I'm in
Perfect.
LinkedIn under Jason Pierce and on Facebook as Jason Pierce.
Awesome, awesome, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't get it, now you know where you can reach him out at. He's very what's the word I'm looking for here? He's very prompt in his response. I'll tell you that. So if he can't, he'll let you know he can't. But if he can, he will accommodate. So I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host Kenny G, and we out.